Greetings folks, Dunman here, and welcome to a new challenge, where I get 300 minutes to accomplish as much as possible in a survival Minecraft world. Today we'll be taking on the harsh yet mysterious end. What all can I get done while I stay here? Stick around to find out. Don't forget to hit subscribe and comment which mod you want me to survive in next. So this is 5 hours in the better end. I was lucky enough to have started in a biome that wasn't that difficult. There was blue colored grass all around me, so that's what I'm calling this biome. Blue grass. There were also these plants in front of me called wine lanterns, which are very nice to look at. They are absolutely gorgeous. Thankfully there was a tree not too far from where I'd spawned. I don't know if it was a tree, whatever end version of a tree is. I found that. And another fun thing, the crafting tables in this world match the color of the wood you make them out of. So I was able to make some basic tools out of the toothpaste colored wood, and I gathered up some endstone and I tried to craft tools out of that, but I couldn't. So for now I was basically stuck with wooden tools. I wanted to get off the island I'd spawned on, so I started cutting down a bunch of wood so that I would have blocks so that I could move around. Travel is kinda difficult in the end, so I burrowed through a tree next to me, and while trying to not make eye contact with any of the endermen around me, I bridged over to an island next to me, which was much bigger than the one I had spawned on. And this one was sick! It had ponds and like weird runes and stuff. Now these runes, till this day, I have no idea what they are. I have absolutely no clue what they do. I kinda wished they had some loot. They didn't. They had these pedestals though, which were pretty nice. I also tried to eat a lotus. Didn't work. But then I found something awesome. There was this weird like hobbit hole at the base of one of the mushroom tree things. And it led up to one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. It was a little tree house, and I had just found my starter base. But the problem is, this thing is so much cooler than anything I can build. Not only did it have all sorts of loot, it also had like a bunch of stuff that I'd need, like a bunch of machines, like an endstone smelter. I didn't even know what that did. This place was great. Now I was faced by a problem. Food. I tried to make stew out of some mushrooms I found near me, but it didn't work. And I had no idea what was edible in the end. So for now I just decided to explore. I didn't have many items, so even if I died it was okay. I found this other biome quite close by, and it had one of the prettiest colors of wood I've ever seen. Look at it, it's beautiful. There was this like weird dark colored biome across an island, and I kinda wanted to go there. So I started bridging. That bridge was the worst. It was so long and it was the first of many bridges I would build. But that was super scary. Then I got to the biome and then I was confronted by the boogeyman. I don't know what this thing is. I was scared at first, but at the end of the day it turned out to be like an ineffectual zombie. Died in like 3 hits. Also found this new type of wood called dragon tree wood, which is pretty nifty. It had like this dark purple colored plank texture, and the crafting table was nice, and I absolutely loved the texture of the bark, so I'll probably use that in something. There were also purple mushrooms, which I took home with me, and the scary bush, which attacked me. The worst part about this biome was that it kind of put a blindness effect on me. I couldn't see very far, so I was just kind of wandering around. When I found this house, I couldn't find the main door, so I just kinda had to like punch my way in through the windows. This place was even cooler than my other house, but the problem is, I can't live in this biome. As cool as this place is, as big as it is, I can't live with permanent blindness and like weird boogeymen outside. There was also a bunch of loot in those chests. The problem is, I had no idea what half that stuff did. Little did past Dunman know, he was gonna be studying that stuff for days. Then I decided to go back to my other little tree house, and while going back I stepped on this like horrifying bush which gave me real blindness and was super scary. But finally, with like no hunger left, I came back to where I started. I came back to spawn because there was a big island and I wanted to explore it. And that island was more beneficial than anything I had done up till this point. Like, going to this island changed the game for me. First thing I found was this weird like pink colored variant of endstone, which I didn't think too much about, but that would be important. And most importantly, chorus fruits! I completely forgot about chorus fruits! You can eat those! And just like that, I had found something to eat. Now the pink colored rock, the flavolite, was basically stone. You could make everything out of it that you can make using stone. Furnaces, tools, the whole shebang. So now I had some better tools at my disposal, and I could go around and mine some of the other ores that I had been spotting here and there. The first ore I mined was this little blue ore that kind of looked like sky blue colored coal called thalassium. I also found out that you can eat those red mushrooms that I'd found just by cooking them. What are they called again? Bollocks? That's what they're called. They're called bollocks mushrooms. God damn it. I mined some more flavolite so that I could make some more tools, and I found another one of those ruin thingies. I really hope those aren't important. Like, I really hope they aren't like food makers or something, because that would be shameful. Big purple mushrooms is the biome that was next to me. And in there, I found this, like, weird orange and, like, gray structure. I don't really understand what those are supposed to be. I found two of them. I found another one not too far from there. Both of them had pretty good loot, though. I found a jellyfish, which I axed, gave me nothing. Also fish! Actual real fish! I can finally get some protein! I can finally get some real human food in this world. Yeah, fish that you can actually cook and eat. Now I had some like general knowledge that you could make something using a combination of thalassium and ender shards, which were another ore. But I couldn't exactly get the end stone thing to work. Need a lot more knowledge before I did that. So I just kind of walked around, collected a lot of mushrooms, which would come in handy, and found another island where I wanted to go to. But the thing is, I kind of had a lot of mushrooms. I don't know how to grow these things, so they're kind of a finite resource for me. So I kind of stashed them in a chest. And then I went to the island, so if I misclicked, fell into the void, and died, I'd still have food. And here is just a sped up clip of me bridging to one of the islands. See how goddamn horrible it is? It's terrifying. But I finally reached the other side of the void and ended up in this weird, like, end desert with, like, these crazy looking cacti. I chopped one of them down, and apparently this plant was called neon cactus. Pretty cool. You could make a block out of it, which, like, lights an area up, which is nice. I was running across a bunch of cool stuff now, so I just kind of wanted to keep going. So I bridged to another island, then another island, and then came to like this variant of this bluegrass biome, which had these like wonderful looking flowers that were growing out of this pond. And I kind of wanted to take one home, but I couldn't break them. I could get the stems though to make like jail cell bars, I guess. Yeah, trying to get the flower was a useless attempt. It was just worth absolutely nothing. I spent way too much time. I had just 5 hours, and I spent like a good minute and a half there. Oh god. Then I also found this wood, which was like this dark oakish color, and the planks had a nice cream color. Just wonderful planks. 10 on 10 planks. Then I found this hollow sponge, which I just never use. You know, probably a useful block. Would never touch it again. Also found these nice berries. They look very delicious, and they are very, very magenta colored. I don't know, man. This section of the video is just me just marveling at everything that is in this mod. There's just so much! It's a whole world out there. It's crazy. Now here in the video, I found what I thought at the time was like a crashed end ship, but it didn't have any loot, so it just kind of lowballed me. I was trying to get something, but it just had nothing. This like glowing orange biome was pretty nice though. It had another version of those weird wine lanterns that I'd seen some time ago. But I angered an enderman! I looked straight into his face! I got in a tree and I was doing a pretty good job for a small while, but then just... God damn it. Well, at least I'd stored my bollocks in the chest, so at least I still have those. But after that, I kinda stopped fooling around. I knew now I had to make some progress, because I was slowly running out of time in this world, and I wanted to get something of substance done in the 5 hours that I'd been given in this world. So I collected resources, chopped down wood, gathered a bunch of thalassium and ender shards, and started setting some goals. First and foremost, I stopped being a gigantic idiot and smelted the thalassium, because how was I expecting to use it without smelting it first? So I realized I could use the planks from all the trees around as fuel, and I got myself some thalassium ingots. Now, I did some research at this point because I had no idea how to make anything, and apparently you need an anvil in order to craft everything out of all the end materials. So I started work on a thalassium anvil. which requires 3 thalassium blocks. That's a lot of grinding. You also need something called a hammer, but that will come later. For now, I had gathered up enough thalassium to make an anvil. Thalassium anvil achieved, I went back to my treehouse in order to finally check out that smelter thing, but I still couldn't use it. It was used to make a metal even stronger than thalassium. Now apparently, the smelter is powered by entire coal blocks, which was going to be difficult to do in the end. But I did quickly go to the little red biome, and I got all of my bollocks mushrooms from the chest I'd stored them in because I was running out of food. I came back home, stuck the mushrooms in a furnace, and put them there to cook, while I went on to the big island. Now I wanted to go on an adventure, but building to every single island would not only waste time, it would also be dangerous. So the simpler way to get around was teleportation, which means ender pearls. So I built myself the most rudimentary ender farm possible, and I mowed a few of them down to get a considerable amount of ender pearls for someone who does not even possess a single piece of iron armor. So the great adventure was on. I decided to go in a direction that I hadn't gone in before, and I found some bollocks, which is always delightful, to say the least. And I just kept going ahead. I just want to say, this mod is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just look at this. Look at what's your screen right now. It's amazing. Walked around for a bit, found a hut, didn't really have anything in it. Just I hate these. What's with these huts, man? What's with these like weird structures with no loot? I get my hopes up, and then there's just nothing. Something awesome that I did see was this biome that had these like weird arcs of this black stone called umberite, which is awesome because it can be crafted into bricks and everything like walls and stairs and whatever you want. So if it wasn't for the time limit in this video, I would love to build something big out of this. So please tell me in the comments below, please subscribe if you want a part 2 to this, 10 hours, whatever. But then I found the coolest thing. I ran into an end city. An end city, mind you, that I completely avoided because screw that. I don't have the armor. I have no armor. I have no weapons. I'm fighting with a stone pickaxe. So what I decided to do is like embrace the ways of the rat and scurry. Okay, I built up a nerd pole up to the ship just to steal the elytra and the best loot. I still had to deal with one shulker, which shulkers make like weird barfing sounds, I just noticed. Horrendous. They do quite a bunch of damage, even without the fall damage involved. Their little barfs still hurt, but I dealt with the one in there. But everything I did was entirely worth it because I found my first diamonds in that chest, along with a bunch of stuff that would come in handy later. I found a silk touch pickaxe, which would be game changing if I made a part 2, because I didn't get to use it that much in this one. And I also found a pair of diamond boots, which were helpful because now I had some armor at least. Second chest I cracked open, I had 2 shovels, a pretty good sword, some iron, some gold, and of course I had the grand prize, the elytra itself. Fantastic flight is in my grasp now. And then I went to the front of the ship because I had to perform a surgical operation in order to get the dragon's head without it or myself falling into the void. So that was difficult. But I managed to pull it off and I got the dragon's head. Now, the plan was to get out of there instantaneously, but I kinda got greedy. I wanted a shulker box, so I decided to fight some shulkers, but that just wasn't happening, Chief. This guy just started decimating me, and I got scared of the fall damage, so I just started floating away. But soon enough, the levitation faded away, and I got to glide majestically through these flowers and onto the ground, which was nice. I was safe, I had gotten a lot of treasure, and to be fair, this journey had really paid off, like more than I'd expected it to. Since that went really well. But while going back, I took a slightly different route than the one I had taken while going there. And right next to the biome full of all the blackstone, I found this crystal biome, which was just absolutely beautiful. Like gorgeous blocks. So naturally I started mining as much of it as I could, and I also realized because of the Silk Touch pickaxe I could also mine the ground around it, which I can't do. All the weird ender grasses, the nylium, whatever it's called. And the thing is, if you have those grasses, you can plant all the plants, so you can move them around too. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Now after I got back to my base, I decided to start work on my base, which, screw it, you know what? I'm making a part 2 someday, so I'm gonna make this a series. I decided to start work on my mega base. I would need a lot of flat land, I would need a lot of resources. I also made a hammer and finally figured out that actually you need to convert the ender shards into ender dust before it is usable. I also gathered up the thalasium that I had left on the big island, which is actually where I'm going to build my base, but for now I'm just going to run all the operations out of the treehouse. I also took the anvil with me because I knew that I'd have to run there over and over again in order to craft anything, so I took that with me as well. Now back at the treehouse, Dunman is doing his old alchemy routine, trying to make the next grade of material. Trying out all sorts of fuels, but apparently it needs coal blocks, as I said before. But I thought charcoal blocks would also probably work. So I tried to burn some end wood, and it worked. The end wood logs were turning into charcoal, which was nice. I also tried to just put in the charcoal like an idiot, but again, it just didn't work. Oh, look at me, man. Come on. How much time are you gonna spend? It doesn't work, you idiot. Then I finally had enough charcoal in order to make a whole block. And it worked! It actually freaking worked! I did it! I problem solved my way to victory! And there it was. The next tier of materials. Terminite. Also in front of me was the next tier of difficulties. Because you need a smithing table to actually make anything. And your boy just used all his iron for a hammer. So after another stress-filled journey, I finally found another end city, which I was praying that it had iron. So just like the last end ship, I did the exact same strategy. Okay, guerrilla warfare? No. We use mouse warfare. I broke into the ship from the bottom, took out the shulker, and took a peek in the chests. And thank God there was iron in one of the chests. The first chest I opened, I had enough iron. Also found a pickaxe with mending and efficiency 4. It was iron, but still, that's not bad. Actually came in handy. Once again, just used all I tried to just jump off the ship and survive. Perfect strategy. Okay, absolutely fantastic. If you're ever stuck in a weird upside down dimension, use it. Walked back and finally made a smithing table. Also, the stuff that I'd left in the smelter was done cooking, so I had a bunch of terminite, which was pretty nice, but I couldn't make any armor out of it, which was not pretty nice. So, just in order to test out how the whole armor making system worked, I decided to make something out of thalasium before I use my expensive stuff. And what I found out was horrifying. In order to make terminite armor and weapons, I needed a terminite anvil. Oh boy, but for now I needed something, so I just decided to make some stuff out of thalasium. First, I tried putting thalasium into the smithing table in order to see if something happened. Nothing did. I knew the hammer was involved in some way, but I just didn't know how. Then I put those two things in the anvil, and a whole new menu popped up. So now I knew how the whole system worked. I just didn't have enough terminite. So that's what I started doing. Got a bunch of ender shards, got a bunch of raw thalasium, and came back to the base. But I needed a new axe, so I decided to make a thalasium one. So I made the axe head using the hammer and the anvil method, and just got the head, no handle. So I tried to craft it, didn't work. And then I used a smithing table, and finally got my first end tool. Then I chopped some more wood so that I'd have more logs for more coal blocks, for more... You get it, right? I also fought this weird, like, slime thing. It was awesome. I got a bunch of slime from that thing, and I don't know how I'm gonna use it since there's 0 redstone in the end. So what can I even do with that? I left all the wood that I'd collected in the furnaces for it to turn into charcoal. and I went ahead and started working on my base. Just built up some of the basic foundations, just laid down a shape essentially for what the base would look like. And then I realized I would need even more terminite in order to get some tools in order to mold the island, and so I went ahead and started mining ender dust. Traveled to another island, got some more ender dust. And then after a painstaking process of bridging from one island to another, after so much hardship and so much resource gathering, I finally had enough terminite in order to construct a terminite anvil. Finally! Then I kind of took inventory of all the stuff that I already had, because if I had some good armor, I didn't really need to replace it. For example, my diamond boots. Didn't really need to make terminite ones since the diamond ones were enchanted. Again, tested the crafting system with thalassium. Apparently you have to craft the ingots into some plates before you can craft the plates into armor. So now that I knew how everything was done, I finally got some terminite that wouldn't be used for a goddamn anvil, that would actually go on my body. And also I had to make a hammer out of diamonds since the iron one doesn't work on terminite. So many resources. And here it is, guys. Our quest for armor has finally come to an end. As I crafted up the terminite into plates, and crafted those plates into a chest plate. The chest plate is pretty cool. I mean, I think this stuff is a little stronger than diamonds, but I don't know if it's as strong as netherite. But it's still pretty good. I also made some pants, because, you know, that part needs protection also. Especially, actually. Here's the problem, guys. Some footage from this point on was kind of corrupted. I couldn't really put it into the video, but all I did was just build a big end stone circle. So you're basically caught up. That's essentially what happened. Now, as you can see here in this beautifully put together montage, finally got replay mod working, I crafted this big pillar in the middle of my base. This would be the central column. The base would be built kind of around this in like a weird cone pattern. Get it when it's finished in the next episode. But I think playing the whole way through in the end, I kind of managed to build something that was, at least it stood out. But you know, I just didn't want to leave it there. I just wanted to build something cool at the end of the video. So I decided to build an Enderman's face. I went back to that other island and I gathered up some of that dragonwood. See, I told you I would build something out of that. I just like that texture. And I gathered up a bunch of it and started building the face. I think the head is about 9 by 9 by 9. So it isn't small, but it isn't too massive either. Enough that it stands out, enough that I don't have to spend another 5 hours building it. But I wanted to do something special for the eyes. Something that would just make them pop, even from this giant Enderman head in the sky. And so what I decided to do was use 2 layers of blocks. The weird glowy wine lanterns would go behind, and some mushroom leaves, or I don't know what they were. They were like these cool jello blocks. They would go in front. As a side effect, now if you move around in front of the Enderman statue, it kind of looks like it's looking at you because of the depth of the eyes. And as a final grand touch, a crown made of aurora crystals. The crown was such a simple feature in theory. It was not even a whole stack of crystals. It was the simplest thing that just made the whole structure come together absolutely perfectly. So then, after putting it all together, my 5 hours were about to end. I was pleased with what I had accomplished, and I wanted to take a look at what I'd done. So I ender pearled down to the ground, and I immediately got by an enderman, like not even a second to breathe. So I had to take care of that jerk. And you know what? The base is looking kinda cool. You know what, guys? I haven't had this much fun playing Minecraft in a long time. The time limit, the game limitations themselves, playing in the end from start to finish, all of that is such a great challenge, and I want to do this with a bunch of other mods. There's so many that I already have on the list, but if you want to suggest some, please do so in the comments. Next 5 hours will probably be in a different mod, and the one after that will be in episode 2 of this. So on that note, guys, I hope you've liked, I hope you've commented, and I hope you've subscribed. And for now, a goodbye.